It was a cool evening at Riverside Cafe. The soft glow of fairy lights shimmered against the glass windows, casting a warm glow on the wooden tables inside. At a corner table, Daniel Hartwell sat with his 5-year-old daughter, Lily. At 39, Daniel had already built a successful consulting empire. His days were filled with board meetings, negotiations, and travel. But tonight wasn't about work. Tonight, he was stepping into something he hadn't done in years, a blind date. The idea hadn't been his. His assistant, Rebecca, had practically pushed him into it. "She's perfect," Rebecca had insisted. "Catherine Morrison, my best friend's sister. She's a successful marketing executive, loves kids, and has a good head on her shoulders." Daniel, a man of precision and careful planning, had finally agreed. After all, Lily deserved more than just a busy father. She deserved someone kind, someone who could be family. As he waited, sipping his coffee, Daniel noticed a young woman approaching the table. She looked nothing like the polished professional he'd been expecting. Instead of a sleek business suit, she wore a simple blue dress that had clearly been through better days. Her purse was worn, her posture hesitant, and her expression carried a mix of nervousness and quiet resignation. She stopped beside his table, her voice barely audible over the cafe's hum. "Excuse me, are you Daniel Hartwell?" Daniel looked up, a little confused. "I am, but I believe I'm supposed to be meeting Catherine Morrison." The young woman flushed pink. I'm her sister. Emma. Catherine couldn't make it tonight, so she sent me instead." For a moment, Daniel just stared, trying to process what he'd heard. "She sent you instead," he repeated slowly. Emma nodded, her fingers twisting around her silver ring. "She got called away. Some emergency client meeting. She didn't want to cancel last minute, so, well, she asked me to come." Her eyes darted toward the door, as if she might bolt at any moment. Daniel studied her face. She was perhaps 25, with hazel eyes that seemed to apologize for existing. There was embarrassment there, yes, but also an honesty that felt strangely refreshing. "Please," Daniel said gently, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Sit down." Emma hesitated. "Mr. Hartwell, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not who you came to meet. I'm just the substitute." Daniel smiled slightly. "Maybe so, but you're here now, and I'm curious about anyone brave enough to show up for her sister's blind date." Emma sat on the edge of the chair, posture tight, as though ready to flee. "It wasn't brave. Catherine just said it would be rude to leave you waiting." But something in her awkward honesty tugged at Daniel more than any polished introduction ever could. He leaned forward. "Tell me about yourself, Emma Morrison. What do you do when you're not covering for your sister?" Emma gave a soft, humorless laugh. "I work at a daycare center downtown. Nothing glamorous. I help take care of kids while their parents work long hours. It pays enough for rent and groceries, most of the time." Her words were simple, but her honesty cut through the polished world Daniel usually lived in. Most people he met spent their time building facades. Emma seemed intent on showing him the raw truth. "Do you enjoy working with children?" Daniel asked. For the first time, Emma's face lit up. "I love it. The kids are amazing. So honest, so creative, so full of hope. Even when life is hard, they still find joy. They teach me something new every day." Daniel felt warmth stir inside him. "I have a 5-year-old daughter, Lily. She's probably at home right now, convincing her babysitter to let her stay up past bedtime." Emma's smile became genuine. 5 is wonderful. Old enough to have conversations, but young enough to believe in magic. What's she like? And so, Daniel found himself telling Emma all about Lily, about her elaborate tea parties, her attempts to teach their dog to read, her belief that vegetables would taste better if they came in different colors. As he spoke, Emma's shoulders relaxed, her laughter filling the space between them. "She sounds delightful," Emma said softly. "And it sounds like you're a wonderful father. That's rare." Something in her tone hinted at personal scars, but Daniel didn't press. Instead, he asked more about her daycare, about the kids she worked with. Emma's eyes lit as she told him about Marcus, a quiet boy whose mother worked 2 jobs. When he started, he hardly spoke to anyone. But last week, a new girl was crying on her first day. Marcus gave her his favorite crayon, yellow, and told her sunshine always makes things better. Daniel listened, captivated. Somewhere between her words, he realized he had forgotten all about Catherine. During a lull, Daniel asked, "Emma, why did Catherine really send you tonight?" Emma's shoulders stiffened. Her hands fidgeted in her lap. "The truth," she whispered. "Catherine saw your photo and, she panicked. She thought you were too successful, too confident. Dating makes her nervous, so she figured if I met you first, it would be a practice run. So she wouldn't be so intimidated." Daniel's jaw tightened. "She sent you as practice?" Emma nodded, her flush deepening. "Catherine has always been like that. She helped pay for my community college classes, so I guess I owe her. And, honestly, it's not like I had exciting plans tonight." Daniel leaned back, watching her closely. This young woman had agreed to be a placeholder, yet she'd been more engaging, more genuine than anyone he'd met in months. "Emma," he said slowly, "what if I told you, I'm not interested in meeting Catherine?" Her eyes widened. "But she's successful and beautiful and sophisticated. She's everything you should want." "According to who?" Daniel asked gently. "Emma, you've spent this whole evening showing me kindness, honesty, and depth. Those are exactly the qualities I'd want in a partner. Those are exactly the qualities I'd want in someone close to Lily." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "Mr. Hartwell, I think you're confused. I work at a daycare. I live in a tiny apartment. I drive a car that barely runs. I'm not the kind of woman men like you date." "Men like me," Daniel echoed softly. "Emma, what do you think men like me want?" Her answer came quickly. "Status. Someone polished. Someone who won't embarrass you at business dinners or galas." Daniel's chest tightened. How long had she believed her worth was so little? He leaned forward, his voice steady. "Emma, would you like to know what I actually want? I want someone who knows the most important conversations happen at bedtime stories, not board meetings. Someone who sees children as people, not inconveniences. Someone genuine enough to show up for her sister's blind date and honest enough to tell me exactly why." Emma shook her head, tears slipping free. "You don't mean that." "I absolutely mean it," Daniel said firmly. He hesitated, then smiled. "How about this? Would you let me take you and Lily to the Children's Museum this weekend? Not as Catherine's substitute, not as a favor, but because I genuinely want to spend time with you." Emma's breath caught. She looked around the cafe, overwhelmed, then back at him. "Why would you want to spend time with me, when you could have Catherine?" Daniel reached across the table, gently taking her trembling hand. "Because in the last hour, you've shown me more authenticity, more compassion, and more wisdom than I've seen in years. Because you light up when you talk about children. Because you agreed to something uncomfortable out of loyalty to your sister. And because when I think of introducing someone to Lily, I can't imagine anyone better than you." The cafe seemed to fade into silence as Emma sat stunned, her hand warm in his. Over the months that followed, something extraordinary blossomed. Lily adored Emma instantly, her natural warmth and creativity making every day an adventure. Daniel, who had once measured life in success and strategy, found himself learning from Emma, learning to slow down, to find joy in the simple moments, to understand that true success was being present for the people who mattered most. With Daniel's encouragement, Emma enrolled in night classes to pursue her bachelor's degree in early childhood education. She dreamed of one day opening her own preschool for working families. 6 months later, Daniel proposed during one of Lily's elaborate tea parties, with stuffed animals as witnesses and yellow crayons serving as makeshift rings until the real one was ready. At their engagement party, Catherine finally confessed. "That so-called emergency meeting, it was a lie. I was just too nervous. I never imagined you'd fall for Emma." Daniel looked across the room where Emma and Lily were laughing together, frosting cupcakes with messy joy. He smiled. "Neither did I. But that's the thing about life's best surprises, they're the ones you never see coming." And so, in a small cafe on an ordinary evening, a blind date gone wrong became the love story none of them had expected.